Okay, and then I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I want to apologize for the technical issues. I haven't had an issue with Zoom before, but I'm wondering if it's because I put that link or, chose that registration on there. So like I said, I'm going to take that off at the 10 p.m. one. So hopefully we don't have that problem again. So I apologize for that. I hadn't encountered that before.
Amy,
yes.
can you hit continue? It says the meeting is being recorded, and that little pop-up is right in the middle of your screen.
Oh, it's in mine too. Hold on. Let me...
Yeah, so you have to hit continue on that and it'll go away. Okay.
This is what you can see. Is that what you're talking about at the top? Because I don't have a continue.
No, I think that's on her screen.
Yeah, I think you may have to click that to acknowledge.
I got it.
Okay.
Yep, I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get this all figured out, right? So I just want to welcome everybody. I appreciate you taking some time tonight to go over this. And I apologize for being a little late. I started taking some college classes and they decided to add a virtual meeting tonight at 6, so that I wasn't expecting. So I apologize for that. I just want to get, going to kind of go over the agenda a little bit. So we're really going to look at tonight, make sure everybody understands the membership lists that are available. You know, you used to have to call the AAMA and have them mail them out to you. And a couple of years ago, we added this onto the AAMA website. So now that you can access that. So anybody who's a state or chapter leader should have access to this. And we'll go over that a little bit more as we go through this. But we're going to look at the lists that are available. So member lists, non-member lists, and then the newly certified CMAs. Again, we're going to talk about who has access, how to download or export these for labels or mailings, for emails, and then some suggestions on how to use these lists for outreach to help encourage membership within your state or local chapter. And then we'll also touch on the new member discounts that are currently out there and how you can utilize them in your membership drives. And then I really want to have this be an open forum where we can do some suggestions and sharing of best practices. So if something's worked great for your state or chapter, we would love to have kind of an open roundtable to discuss that. So talking about the chapter list, state and chapter lists that are available. So depending on your role, you'll have access to the membership rosters. And this you will find once you log in to the AAMA website under my account. It will be along the left side as it's shown here on the screen. And you'll have the different lists available for you. So if you're a state officer, you will have access to all of this, your whole state's roster. If you're a chapter, if your state has chapters, if you are a chapter officer, then you would have access to just your chapter information. And again, the following lists that are available is the membership roster. So those are your current active members. Non-renewing members are those that did not renew, should say 2020. I apologize, it's a typo. So those who didn't renew in 2020. And then we're also going to look at those non-member CMAs. So those are people that are CMAs who have been certified, but they've never joined or they haven't renewed. So you're non-renewing and that non-member sometimes can have a little crossover. And then your new CMAs are those who have recently passed the CMA exam. And then we also have on there the ABROE roster in case you ever want to utilize that to do some outreach, because you may have some of those people that would like to attend your meetings. So when you go into the AAMA website and you log in, once you click on whichever roster you're looking at, it'll look similar to this up in the left upper corner. So it'll you can drop down here. If again, if you're a state officer, you'll have access to the whole state. So you'll see the different chapters and then also the state roster. And then your roster will look similar to this. So you'll have the member ID, their name, which chapter or state they're associated with, address, email, if they're, what type of member they are. So if they're active, a student, associate, etc. And then also it'll show you where, what their due status is. If you see this chapter locked box here, that would be a check mark if, say for some reason, I believe Diana Rogers is on, but Diana Rogers actually lives in Pennsylvania, but she's a member of Ohio. So she could have that chapter locked so that it would never switch over to Pennsylvania instead. Or if you have a situation where you're moving and it's out of that chapter's area, but you still want to be a member of that chapter, you could have your chapter locked as well.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure.
Thank you. My name is Sue Rodenberger, CMA, AAMA from Washington State. On a slide previously, you mentioned, I believe, and I just jotted this down, ARBOE list. I don't know what that stands for.
So those are those members from several years ago. So that's the assessment-based recognition and order entry. So several years ago, when CMS put that rule in about order entry having to be a credentialed person, they could take that course. So that's what those rosters are, the people that still hold that credential.
Got it. Thank you very much for
You're
explaining that.
So this just kind of shows you what it looks like if you would export it into Excel. So the Excel format will have some additional columns, but of course, once you download that, you can take out the columns you don't want. You can sort by, if you want to look at by a certain city or by a certain zip code, or if you wanted to look at just your students. So that gives you the ability to kind of sort through that. With Excel, I'm not the best Excel person. I get around it very well for the minimal stuff, but have me put some of those the Excel extensions and things and pivot tables, and I struggle a little bit. But this is pretty basic, so you can download this and at least get this. And you can also, I think it's on my next screen. I'm sorry, hold on. Let me go back. I lost my screen that showed me my next slide, so I apologize. But you can also use this to download to merge into like Word to do labels and things there. So we do have, there's a resource on the AAMA website that kind of has a step-by-step instruction on that. That takes you down on how to download this to Excel and how to merge that into Word to do to labels, etc. Again, you always still have the option of calling AAMA. They can still print labels for you. But this gives you access as well if you want to do it quickly yourself. Is there any question on the members list before I go on? Okay, so the
Amy?
next,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, this is Claire. I don't have a question. I just have kind of a comment, or I want you to clarify. I think when you download the Excel list, that you have to change the format to Excel, or it saves it as a web page, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think yes, you're correct. I think it will automatically download as a web format. So you would have to do a save as, and then pick a different Excel format. And like you can pick the .csv. That would be one that would convert it correctly for you. Thank you, Claire. That's
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
So the next list is the CMA, the new CMA list. So again, those are the people that have recently passed the CMA AAMA exam. And it's similar to how the membership list is set up. You can search by whatever your access is, and then you can have a start date and end date. And so that gives your state or chapter the ability to routinely send out correspondence. So it's always a good thing and a good membership building sorry, lost my train of thought. A good membership building activity for your chapter or your state is that if you would routinely be sending out some letters with outreach to those people that just passed. So invite them to your chapter, let them know that you're there in the area. You know, I think we've all encountered where we have some new CMAs that are coming out and they don't know a lot about our organization. They may have got just a little bit of an overview during their classes, but it really depends if their instructor is, how close they are tied to the AAMA as to how much information they may get about the organization. So they may be certified with us and not be a member, or some may even be a student member because they were paid through their school, but they just aren't really versed in what is available to them for networking and meetings, etc. So so best practice we always suggest is try to get some type of routine to send out some letters to them welcoming. And you can do that monthly, quarterly, you know, twice a year, whatever your time can allow, because, you know, it can be timely to do that. And again, those lists do have emails on it. So, you know, I think we have found that emails generally work better. They don't cost us unless you're doing some kind of, you're paying for MailChimp or something like that. And Kathy, yes, I think we're working. Kathy put a question in the chat. She was asking about any example letters. So we'll be sharing some of that. I have some samples as we go through the presentation, and that is something that we're working with to try to get uploaded to the AAMA website. There are some resources on there that you can use, but we're looking at doing, you know, some updating on that as well. Let's see here. So again, so here's where some of those resources are. So if you go to the AAMA page and go under the Volunteer Center and the Marketer Center, they do have sample letters under there. There's recruitment and retention tips. There's also some marketing materials on there. So I suggest to go and look at that. There are some of those resources there for you to use. Again, we talk about ways to use these lists. So of course, you know, a lot of us are old school and we like that letter. You know, sometimes it's nice because it's that personal touch, but it can be expensive for the state or the chapter to actually do that mailing. You know, if you want to do mailing, you can always do a postcard. It's more, you know, cost effective than letters. And you could just direct them to maybe your Facebook page or your website for more information, or send out a postcard inviting them to your next meeting that you're having. And then of course, email, it seems like everybody kind of lives and breathes with their email these days, and they're on their cell phones and they have that quick access. But of course, we can have an issue with sending mass emails, and, you know, depending on where you're sending those out, they can be marked as spam. So there are certain things like MailChimp. MailChimp has a free portion of their product that you can use. There is, I think you can, depends on how many emails you send out, you can do so many free a year. So depending on how many people that you are actually emailing out to, you may get by with doing just the MailChimp account, especially if you're just a chapter and you have a smaller membership. You know, and it may be something that your state wants to look at purchasing, you know, an account so that you can send that out. MailChimp is kind of nice because it's kind of emails, but you can also do newsletters and things like that as well. So it kind of has more than just the email list on there. Constant Contact, I know a lot of states like to use Constant Contact. It's a similar platform for that. You can send out emails. They have other things that you can do with that newsletter, that you can use it for registrations. I believe they have payments registration as well. Donna, can you speak a little bit? I know I have not currently used Constant Contact, but Texas is using that, correct? Donna Gibbons, I think you were on. Are you on?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
I'm so sorry. Constant contact. I was talking about
Yes.
it's more than just emails, but you guys use that for your registration and payment for meetings as well, do you not?
Yes, we use it for just about everything. We use it for the e-blast, and then when we set up our annual meetings or our little, Saturday seminars, we set up the registration through there. And so everyone who wants to registers through there, and even it sets up to pay for the registration and go through the PayPal account.
Right.
It's working really, really good, but it takes a little bit of effort to learn it.
Yeah. I think that's all the technology. I think we have spent a little time trying to get it right, but the e-blasts that come from AAMA, that's done through constant contact as well. So it's just a different platform. It is, it's something you have to pay for. So it just depends what resources you have for your state or your chapter, but there are some other avenues of sending out those emails if you're sending a bulk of them so that they don't get marked as spam, and bounce them back. So I wanted to share, and I apologize because I don't think Jane got on. Jane Seelig from Indiana was having some issues getting on, so she was locked out. And she was going to talk about this a little bit. So I apologize if I don't think she got on with us. But here is a letter they recently sent out from Indiana. They used this letter last year, and they used it again this year. So this is what they recently sent out. They did a letter and they did an email. And so they sent this out, and you can see in here that they talked about the membership discount. So looking at, really emphasizing about if they were not a current member, that they could join now and get a membership for the rest of the year. And then also for the whole of 2022 as well. And so just kind of really emphasizing that and trying to, get the people to see that they may get an extra value if they go ahead and join now, so that they get the extension if they're not currently a member, plus they get the $8 discount. But then they also talked about for their members that are currently members and just need to renew, that if they renewed by October 31st, they would get that discount as well. So just some outreach. I know, and I apologize again, she's not on, and I don't have the numbers memorized, but I know she said that they recently sent this out, and like 4 or 5 days later, I think she had an additional 24 or 25 members just by sending this email out. So just within a couple of days. So it's been very, it has worked very well for them for that. And I guess I'll kind of open the floor up if we have anybody that has done any correspondence with their members about the membership discounts and something that worked well, or any questions about the membership discounts. So just as a reminder, again, we did extend again this year the $8 discount. So we're calling it the early bird discount. So you get that $8 discount if you join online by October 31st. So you get that $8 off, and that's if you're a current member and you're renewing, you get the $8 discount. Now, if you have someone who's a non-member, like I said, they would be able to join now, get membership for the rest of the year, and for the whole of next year. So we've always done, AAMA has always done that, but the date was always September. They got that membership if they joined after September 1st, and we just bumped that back to July 1st. So we gave them a couple extra months for that extension. But sometimes, it's an incentive to people to get that little bit of a discount. $8 doesn't seem like much, but it really is almost 10%. So we felt it was a significant discount on that.
Can I say something?
Sure.
We generally in Texas award memberships to members during our annual meeting. And I've always had to wait till September to do it. So it's been really nice to be able to do it in July.
Okay, good.
So it works
So
out good.
has that helped with your state to encourage membership, knowing that they could get a membership scholarship. You said it's a scholarship that you guys do?
Pardon me?
Is it a scholarship you said, or?
We do different things, like sometimes at the annual conference, we'll do a drawing of the members in attendance and they win a free membership. And then whenever we've done hardship applications and things like that, we do that. And it's nice to be able to come out of our annual conference and turn around and do it in July, as opposed to waiting till September and remembering to do
Right,
it.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Time gets away from us, I think, sometimes we forget, so. Is there any other questions or comments about this? And I apologize, I can't always see if you raise your hand or anything, so feel free to unmute yourself if I'm not seeing you, so I apologize. I can only see like 5 people's cameras for some reason, so. All right. So the other thing I wanted to touch base on, something that was started last year by the membership committee, we wanted to make a change to the membership cards. If you remember, our cards before had our membership number and the current date on there, your name, and had the place at the bottom for you to sign on there. We did talk to Don and ask, if we had to have that signature on there, and he agreed we did not. So that helped us give us a little bit more space to revamp our membership cards. So these started, we wanted to go through the current stock of, that we have that special paper where it kind of laminates it. So we didn't want to have an undue expense. So we wanted to use that up first. So that was done November, December-ish. And we started the new cards in December of last year. So anybody joining after December would have got this new card. So what we wanted to do is we changed the letter a little bit and thanked them for being a member. And then we also wanted to insert in there what their local state, if they had one, or what their local chapter was. Trying to just get that out to them a little bit more for someone who may not know that they have a state or local chapter, or how to get information. So we added that into the letter along with the website, if that state or chapter has a website. And then we also added it onto the card. The other thing we added was, those of you who have done any type of education event, there's always a confusion between membership number and certification number. So there's some confusion sometime about that. So we put both of those on the card. And then, we've also had people think that they're members because they're certified. There's some confusion about that as well. So we wanted to list both of them on there. So we have their membership number and their certification number on there, and when it's current through. There was some concern. Some people may not want their certification number on there. So they do have an ability to ask for that not to be put on their card when they're renewing their membership. But the focus was we really wanted to get that state and local chapter on that card with information on how to get contact to try to help encourage some networking and getting them more involved with that organization.
So if they're not a member, then is that just blank?
So this would be just for the membership card. So their certification card stays the same. So if they had taken the test and they're certified, they would just get their certification card. They would only get this card if they were a member, if they paid for a membership.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think that through. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. Does anybody else have any questions? Anybody have any feedback on the cards for those members that may have gotten them? I know I joined earlier last year, so I didn't get the new format card, so I didn't get to see it except in the test, on that. So we're really hoping that'll help do the engagement.
Amy, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Betty Springer.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there was a conscientious decision not to put the name American Association of Medical Assistants. I know we have our logo, but I don't see the name on that card.
Let me go back here. Sorry about that. I went the wrong way on my slide here. So I'd have to remember what the card looked like before. Did it state American Association? And then I don't know. I'd have to look at the
I
new card
believe
to
it
see.
did.
I don't have my, does anybody have their card by them that they can, I don't have my person here. And you know, this.
Well, actually, whether it does or it doesn't, and it's okay, it's great. The information that's on there as an addition is very, very good. I would just ask that you think about the future having the actual name of the association so that it's also additional marketing, so to speak. People employers might not be familiar with the emblem, the logo.
Right, yes. Yeah, and that's definitely, if it's not on there, it definitely can be added because whatever's in that, whatever's printed in that box is printed at the AAMA. So I can round back with Nikki on that about getting that change made on that.
If everyone agrees. I mean, I know it's a perception of mine, but I like to see the I like to see the organization out there.
No, I think that's a good idea, I think.
On the
Thank
current
you.
card. I'm
Amy,
sorry.
I think it's a very valid point.
Yeah.
Amy, this is Karen from Indiana.
Yes.
Does the back of the card, because I'm looking at my membership card, and on the front it does not, but on the back it does, and it gives the name. It says American Association, and then it also gives the address, the phone number, the fax number, their email, their website. Does this card do the same thing?
Yeah, we did not change anything on the back of the card.
Okay, so it has that on the back, but not on the front.
Okay.
And I have an old card.
Okay.
Yes, and my old card doesn't have American Association of Medical Assistants on the front. It just has the logo.
Okay.
Yep.
But on the back, everything's listed.
Okay.
Yep.
It's still something I think we can look at with Nikki, because there may be room to put it across the top of the card. You know, especially if an employer is just making a copy of the front, you know, two buddies, you know, comment, they may not see, you know, maybe they don't copy the back and they may not see that too. So. Any other ideas or suggestions for the card or the letter?
Claire.
Go ahead.
So it looked like Karen had a question, or somebody had a question in there that I didn't quite read about digital cards.
Yeah, so Kathy asked, thank you. Thanks, Claire. Claire's doing double work too. She's driving for her job. So, so Kathy had a question about the digital cards. So Kathy, are you, do you mean for those that newly recertified the digital badge? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so that was something new that the certifying board did this year. So they have the new digital badge. And has everybody seen that, the new digital badge?
No.
Let me pull up my email because I can show it to you here as soon as I get to that screen. My computer's being slow, I apologize. Okay, let me see if I can pull this over here. No. All right, I'm trying to see if I can pull this over and show this to you. Okay, oops, hold on. All right, now, let me see. So this is the digital badge that Kathy's talking about. So those that become newly certified, I believe it was June 1st or July 1st. If someone can correct me, I know it was June or July. When you recertify, you get a link for this digital badge now. And you can see I've added it to, this is my Gmail. So I've added this to my email signature. Oh, wait,
Excuse me, Amy, I'm
can't see
still
it.
seeing the membership card
Yeah.
changes screen.
sorry, I think I have, hold on, I must stop share and I'm going to re-share. Hold on. Okay, there. Sorry, I had shared just the presentation. There we go. Now can you see it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this little badge, the green badge that says certified CMA, this is what they the certifying board came out to or came out with this year. So digital badging is kind of something new. You can see I have a digital badge from NCQA as well for my patient-centered medical home certification. So it's something that other organizations are using to show, and you can add it to your emails, or you can add it to your resume. With the certified, with that, they have, let me see here. It has the link with it that it'll take you to, it takes you to this, this web page, and it gives them all of my certification information. So it shows them when I expire. It talks about what the credential is. It gives a little bit of information, clinical competency, general, administrative, etc. So it gives more information about what the certification is and how, if my certification is valid and for how long. So as I said, it just started. So those that were just newly certified, they just started getting those this year. So I hope that
It also means that you're no longer going to get the card. They are only sending out the badges. They are not sending out a hard card any longer or a certificate.
It's true.
Okay, hope that explained it, Kathy, for you there.
So would that, then you would copy and paste and put on your resume if you send it electronically?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay.
yeah, you could put it on there so it would print if you were printing it out, or yes, if you were sending it electronically, again, and you can put that link. You can link it to LinkedIn as well, and share that on there. So if you have a LinkedIn account, and you can have that under your certifications, the same thing. And actually you can set that up directly from where you get your certified badge. And I apologize, there may be more things. Again, the certifying board did this. I'm just talking about what I've used it for myself. I'm probably not the best. I don't have all the answers for that because it's the certifying board that did it. But yes, you can link that onto your resumes, onto your email signature, your LinkedIn page, and other things to show your certification.
Thank you for the information.
Yes, you're welcome.
And I actually had one other quick thing too, just as it ties into recertification, because sort of what we've heard on our end is that typically once someone recertifies, they're going to get an email within about a week about accessing their new digital badge. And I do believe that is going to get a little closer to their actual cert date. So it's likely going to be less than a week as well at some point as they sort of streamline things. But as of now, it's roughly a week turnaround.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate that. So I think everybody's, I'll introduce Nick with AAMA. So I think probably a lot of you have probably talked to him at some point with membership or CEU questions, etc. So thank you, Nick, for being on and answering that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go to the next slide here. So again, we talked about those membership discounts a little bit already. This just kind of goes through it more. You know, again, if you're joining online July 1st or after, for those people who were not a member as of June 30th, they would get their membership through December 31st of 22. and they get that $8 discount. And again, that changes from the previous, from September 1st to July 1st for that extended membership. And then for those members renewing, if they're joining on online on or before October 31st, they get that $8 discount. And that's on the AAMA portion of the dues. So that doesn't reduce any of the membership monies that is going to the state or the chapter. Their portion stays the same. The discount is coming off of the AAMA membership part. So, so just in case anybody had questions for their state or chapter, or they were concerned that they would be getting less money for their dues, it does not affect that.
Amy, I have a point of clarification on that. I just want to know, that's only if you join online. If you have somebody that wants to mail a check in, that does not apply,
Correct. It
that
has to be-
discount?
Correct, yes, they have to join online.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. So
Amy?
yes, go ahead.
Amy, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Betty Springer again. I was listening very closely to some of the changes in the cards and certification recognition, proof of recognition and so forth. I'm on several advisory boards, and I was wondering if there's any thought from your committee to advise those program directors some of this new with the badges and so forth, so that they can be prepared to also answer questions for their students, and the students would be prepared for their membership and certification cards or badges or whatever.
Okay.
Just to keep the program directors close so that it's not complicated and they don't, I don't want to say ignore it, but have to pass over it because they're too busy, whereas it would be beneficial for them to be able to discuss it with their students.
True. Yeah. Nick, do you know, did the certifying board send anything out to any of the schools or anything? Do you know if that was something they might have done offhand?
To be honest, I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I will definitely, Betty, I'll definitely follow up with the certifying board and see if they've done anything, because I would think they would want that information to come out from them.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Then, yeah.
I'm just
And then-
mentioning it, Amy, because if I don't know if other people have had the issue, or maybe it's just pertinent right now. COVID's just making very strange relationships and so forth. But it's difficult to try and explain what's going on to groups of people that are responsible for the good works, and I'm not always sure I'm saying the right things. Thank you.
No, I think that's a good thing, and that may have been something they didn't think about. So yeah, definitely I'll pass that suggestion along to them. And then also we'll talk about that with the membership committee too. Is there something that we could send out, you know, an email of, or an e-blast to them of, hey, look for these changes, let your students know, or something. You know, I think we could do something like that. It doesn't have to be super complicated, but just something that would get the information out to them. That they would, and maybe even attach a little one pager or something that they could print out and give to their students or something.
Yes, thank you for the consideration.
Yes, yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. So Jeanette asked if any of those that just recertified, can they get the badge? So again, it's certifying board, so I'm not 100% sure. And I don't know, Nick, if you know, I apologize if you don't. Can they request, if they've already recertified prior to this, can they request the badge, or do they need to wait the 5 years to get it? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
There is a chance that there may be an option to order one, but I'm not positive.
Okay. Okay. I will follow up on that. We're gonna, what the plan is, after we're done with these 2 sessions tonight, I'm gonna send out the PowerPoint and the recording. So I will follow up with the certifying board and see if maybe we can put that information in there to get some clarification for you. I'm gonna write that down quick. And then Monica brought up a good point that the link for that digital badge does let you, gives you a link to your wallet card and your certificate that you can download and print. So you still get that wallet card and the certificate. It's just you would print that out yourself.
Amy,
Yes.
sorry, this is
No, you're
Monica. So I recertified in March, and I received my email for the badge. And you remember when this came out, I'm sure, on our test emails. I received that May 25th to receive my badge, and I had recertified about 2 months prior to that.
Okay. Okay, so maybe they're sending that out. I wasn't for sure on those dates, so we can check on that and let everybody know. But we'll find out here. Kathy has a question for Donna. So Donna Gibbons, she wanted to know how you guys set up the PayPal accounts for payments, and was it under your chapter name, and who manages the account? I don't know if you have that information or not.
We set it up under, I manage the Texas Society of Medical Assistants account. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And we went through PayPal and signed up for that with our bank account number. So it's directly connected to our bank account. And in the beginning, what they do is they do a 1 cent or a 2 cent thing back and forth to make sure everything's legitimate and it's the right account and all that. And so what happens is PayPal keeps all of the money, and then you go into PayPal and transfer it to your bank account. Like after the registration is done, or if there's too much money getting in there, you might want to go ahead and transfer some during the middle of registration or something like that. And it took a little while to set it up, and it was some trial and error. And but it works really, really well. And of course, you'll have to look through PayPal and see what type of fees and everything that they charge. But it's working well for us, and it's a lot easier for me as treasurer to not have to do all of the mail-ins and the check deposits and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a record of everything forever.
Okay, that's good.
Hopefully forever.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
Amy, the
Yes.
lady that wanted to know if she could get a badge, on the letter that she got from the certifying board, there should be a contact name and an email address. And if she will just contact them directly from that letter that she got, that says, this is when I recertified, how do I go about getting a badge? They should be able to tell her directly how to do that.
Okay, great. And I think Jane Seelig, are you on now? I got a text message that she was in.
Yes, I am in.
Okay, good. Do you, I briefly talked, I don't know if you were on, I briefly talked about your Indiana's success with sending out some letters for encouraging membership utilizing the membership discount. So I didn't know, I kind of showed your letter and kind of talked about how you sent that out, but I didn't know if there was something you wanted to, some other info you could share about that. So I know you've done it more than once a year, so.
Yeah, I do it once a year after the July dates, promoting the $8 discount and the membership through the end of the year and all of the next year. We've gotten quite a good positive response from it. A lot of questions because I send it out on behalf of each chapter with that chapter's contact information. So the chapters are responsible for responding to the people in their area. One of the advantages Indiana has is that we do not have any member large areas. We made sure that we reformatted our boundaries for our chapters to cover every county in the state. So there's always a connection between that person and a contact person for each chapter. That helps quite a bit. And we're starting to see a lot more participation and response from the people who have joined. We have not had any in-person meetings, but our board has approved a follow-up letter asking people for information as to whether they would be willing to participate in different things such as suggesting workshop topics, finding speakers, when we do have a meeting in person, finding a meeting site, registration or distribution notices. So we're trying to encourage people to stay active and serve as a mentoring springboard. And because our chapter and state have offered our virtual workshops all over the country, and I have email addresses for everybody who has responded that they wish to attend one of the workshops, I'm going to be sending this out to those people, asking them for their state society and their chapter, and then forwarding that information on to those leaders for them to respond. And I can give this letter to any state society that wishes to do it for themselves. Just send me an email.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any questions? Because we had an increase from our June meeting until our August meeting, which is June 12th to August 21st, an increase of 142 members in our state society.
And between that time, you also sent out the letters letting them know about the discounts as well, correct?
Yeah, that was after that July 1st date.
Yeah.
So that's why it was between June 12th and August 21st. Sent out the letter sometime after, I know it was after the 4th of July. It was sometime in July that we sent it out.
Okay. Kathy is asking about members at large. So, so just a little background. So some states may have, if they still have chapters, they may have an area within their state that may not have a local chapter. So then if they don't have a local chapter, those members are considered members at large. So they're still a member of the state, but they're not connected to a local chapter. And so what Jane is talking about is, and it's something similar we did in Ohio as well. We looked at where there was a chapter in that area, and then making sure, looking at the counties associated with that chapter, and then working with the AAMA to give them a list of zip codes. And then they're able to take those zip codes and say, okay, all of these zip codes are associated with this chapter. So then that way, anytime somebody would join, they would automatically be put in that chapter if they live in that zip code, unless they ask to be in a specific, a different chapter. But then that way they're not a member at large. And, if you're doing outreach based on your membership list, then you can, they're getting that information, and that information is going to be on their card as well. I think Denise had her hand up. Did you have a question?
Yes, I'm Denise Josephat from Florida. I'm the state president, and we do the same thing. We have not had members at large for several years. We give everybody a home so they have a place to belong. And we have a great certification membership team now that we've had some chapters that just kind of aren't doing anything. So all of those members in this huge area in the Panhandle have now gotten new homes. So they have been divided up into a couple of different chapters and are getting information on state meetings, chapter meetings. Our chapter was the first one in Florida to start Zoom meetings, and we do them monthly. And then the East Coast of Florida, Brevard, is doing them also. We do ours on the second Saturday of the month. They do theirs on the third Thursday. And then now Florida has started doing, the state doing Zoom meetings for our members only, but we are talking about opening up the Florida meetings to other members of AAMA. And that's just between the officers talking right now, doing that before we start back up with the state meeting in October. We do not know when we're going to be back to in-person meetings, not here in Florida anyway.
Right, right. Yes. Unfortunately, I think we're all in the same boat. We want to be together so bad, but sometimes it isn't. COVID isn't cooperating with us, but yeah. So a couple other. Thank you very much for explaining that. So we have a couple other states, Massachusetts and Washington, that mentioned that they have members at large. So that's definitely something, like I said, you can look at your the zip codes and kind of split them up and assign all those zip codes within a certain county radius to be included in those chapters. If you have chapters, I apologize if you don't. But then like everybody has said, that kind of gives them a home. And if you're doing that, that chapter's doing outreach, it helps to ensure that they're on that membership list on there, so they're getting that information.
Amy, just an FYI, there are some states though that are by level that
Right,
don't have
right.
any chapters, so all their members are members at large.
Oh, okay, yes, I didn't think about that. Yes.
I have a question. Sue Rodenberger, CMA, AAMA, Washington State Society of Medical Assistants. For those chapters that have assigned what we would consider members at large into specific chapters, are there states governed by a House of Delegates, or are they one member, one vote?
So I think it can be, it can be either. So I know Ohio is an HOD. I don't know, Jane, is Indiana a General Assembly, or is it an HOD?
It's a General Assembly. It has been since I joined in 1979.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. My concern with it being, as Washington State is a House of Delegates, we assign so many by active members, how many delegates each chapter is accorded in the House of Delegates. And if we start loading members at large into different chapters, I'm concerned that might make a chapter top heavy with extra members or active members, and thus skewing a vote in the House of Delegates. Is that of a concern to anyone else?
I think your state would have to look at that. I think that would be no different than if you have a chapter that's in a large, in a large city, they could have more members than a chapter that's in a more rural area. Because you would only put a person in a chapter that's close by them. But again, it would have to be up to your state if you felt that would be an issue or not. That would be something you would have to discuss. I know I can speak for Ohio. When we did that, we just wanted to make sure geographically they were into a chapter that was close to them.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's see here. So Lucinda asked how many meeting planners can a chapter have? So when you're talking about meeting planners, are you talking about entering the CEU's
Yes.
app? Okay. So yes, I can maybe let Nick expound on that, but I think right now only one person can enter that. Is that correct, Nick?
That's correct. The way it's set up currently is on the submission side of things, you can have anyone who has that officer level access at the site can submit an approval request online if they would like. On the attendance side of it, only one person can be assigned to a given class at one time. Now I can change that. So if it was under one person's purview and you wanted to change it to someone, I can change on the database side, but it's only can be linked to one person at a time, a given class.
So do you know
Okay.
if there's a capability of changing that? Because I know it is an issue. We've come across that too, that you have 200 people or something that attended, and for one person to put that in is a lot. So I don't know if that's configuration that you guys could allow more than one person to put them in, or do you think that's a limitation currently?
That, I guess there are a couple potential questions with it. Yeah, there's the tech side of it. There is also, I feel like in previous discussions, there may be an issue of, in general too, if you're having multiple people working within the same class, you know, trying to sort of make sure that everything is getting entered correctly, and sort of who was entering what, could potentially be some confusion. But that may be a possibility.
Okay, so maybe that's just a take back for discussion. Because I think, like I said, because I think it is an issue as more people have more of the Zoom, especially the Zoom or the virtual meetings, and you have so many people attend, it does take a long time for one person to go through and put those all in, where if you could split up the list, it probably would make it a little easier.
Well,
Amy,
Just a suggestion.
Iowa doesn't know who their planners are. And I'm the one that sets up the Zooms for my different chapters. So right now, we're just either emailing or faxing the spreadsheet to Nick. And I would think it'd be a lot easier if we could upload that instead of dumping it on him to have to load that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, Nick, you hear our pain points, and which it turns into your pain points, I think, sometimes too. But so maybe that's just something you guys can talk about for future change, possibly, if possible.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely, I'll make note of that, as because it would be nice to have that additional option. And then I will say also, it's certainly up to the individual state or chapter. That online option, we certainly encourage it, but if there are any situations where I know, you know, especially if you have the Zoom meeting with, you know, 300 attendees, in a sort of an overwhelming for someone to be entering those individually, certainly that can always be sent to the program attendance folder. My colleague who, and probably many of you have experienced it recently, my colleague who works within that folder at the moment is super quick with those. So that's always an option as well. I don't want people to feel as if they are sort of bound to using the online option in situations where it would be, you know, too much.
Okay. And
Amy, this
yeah.
is Jane. And we just had a virtual workshop for 286 attendees. And all I did, it was very simple. I had a spreadsheet with all the registrations on it. And then I confirmed their attendance and simply attached that to an email, send it in, and got a response the same day that the credits will be on the workshop attendees transcripts within the next 2 days.
Okay.
So it's been very, very easy working with Nick and Virginia.
Oh, good. I think Lucinda's second part of her question was how many members can be signed up to be a planner. So I think Nick kind of touched on that. You can have as many people as planners to submit CEUs, et cetera. But currently it's just the one person that can upload or put the attendance in.
Is the planner the one that submitted the request for the CEU?
Yep. So if someone applies online through the online method of approval requests, it's automatically going to make that person the assigned planner for it.
Good to know.
If you do have sort of a division of labor and you say, like, you know, this one person typically submits it for approval, the other person typically does the attendance side. If you don't mind just dropping a note into the when you submit it online, when the objectives box, you could just say, you know, please make the planner this person. Yeah, I can always then adjust, you know, that so it's attributed to the other person.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Is there any other ideas or suggestions, things that they would like to see the membership committee working on? You know, we're getting close to conference, so the committee will probably be changing per what incoming president LaCourse would want. But we obviously will share our work that we're working on now, and that'll be transferred to them to continue. And if there's any suggestions, we could add that as possibilities if anybody has any.
Amy, this is Jane again.
Yes.
One of the things I noticed when I sent out the letters to the non-renewing members and the non-CMA members, we had quite a few people who had school and work addresses, which were no longer current. And it would really, really be helpful and beneficial if we could enroll these people with their home email addresses so that we could continue to contact them after they get out of school, or if they should change their work position. And I really only had one person give me resistance on the registration of our workshops about doing that. Everyone else was very cooperative. So it's just a thought that, yes, there's students at the time, but it would be really helpful if we could get their home email address so we could continue to work with them, mentor them, and encourage them to become members.
Okay, yep, it's a good idea. I did want to put up on the screen here, I wanted to thank our the membership committee. So this is everyone that's serving on the membership committee. This year and last year, we had a couple new additions this year, but you know, due to COVID, most of us continued our, you know, the board continued their roles, and most of the committee members stayed the same. So most everybody has been on this for 2 years with me. So I just want to thank them for their input and helping get everything ready for the meeting and working on things as well.
Amy, this is Betty Springer again, please.
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for these efforts. I've been around for a little while, and I think bringing the people in that are responsible, it helps them grow quicker and get things together. I have a little bit of a concern, but I think it might work out. I don't want, because of the doom of Zoom, I don't want the states to be in competition with each other. So if we could all just keep a good intention thought about that. The other part of it is that normally I'm a little bit critical, but I can tell you right now that Nick is amazing and patient. He answers questions that I ask 500 times. And he's very helpful in explaining in such a way that I can then relate that to other people. So when there's a problem, I'll let you know. But Nick has been terrific, and I'd appreciate it. We all give him a thank you.
Yes, he does a great job in answering all of our crazy emails sometimes, right, Nick?
Well, thank you. I do really appreciate that. Those are very kind words. Thank you.
You deserve them, Nick, for sure, after all I put you through. This is Jane.
Thank you. Always happy to help.
This is Jeanette from Florida, and Nick and I are BFFs through email now. So he's helped me out quite a bit with our Zoom meetings that we've been doing for CEU. So thank you very much, Nick, for all your help. I appreciate it. And I did want to say, Nick, that I noticed that the email I had sent you a while back about how the page where we enter the attendance was blocking part of it if a attendee had a really long email, and you were able to get that corrected on there, and it looks great now and it works all the time. So I just wanted to thank you for working on that. We really appreciate it. I know that all the other state and local leadership people would agree with me, you know, to say that we're really, really fortunate to have you working for us at the AAMA.
Oh, thank you. I'm getting embarrassed now, but thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's kind words. I do take it to heart.
I had one other question back. I was trying to scroll through some of the questions here. For North Carolina Wilmington chapter, they were asking about, can we use a speaker for several different topics? So I believe, Nick, that is correct. They can use the same speaker for different topics. They would just have to submit each of them for separate CEU approvals, correct?
Yep, exactly. As long as that speaker is qualified for all those given topics, they can definitely present on multiple.
Okay, great. All right, well, I'm going to give everybody back their evening, unless anybody has any other questions or suggestions.
I have a question. We're talking about Zoom meetings. This is April Banyan from North Iowa chapter. With Zoom meetings, we have a really good turnout. However, prior to COVID, our in-person monthly chapter meetings, we would have a speaker. We would maybe get 10 people if we were lucky. We've tried different times. We've tried different days. Any suggestions on the in-person? A lot of people, we have kind of a large area, I guess, for our chapter. And what I hear a lot of people say is that the time getting off work and driving an hour or 45 minutes to a meeting and then back home, that's too long of an evening after working all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I think we're all kind of facing that, you know, we love that we're having such great attendance on these virtual meetings, but how do we balance that out with making sure we're still having the networking and we're still getting people mentored to be able to step up and take our roles that we need them to take. And I think it's something that all the chapters are going to have to start. I know some states are doing where they'll do a couple virtual, and then I think they were going to start to do some back in person. And then of course, you know, COVID kind of is having us pull back a little bit, of course. You know, so it may be, you know, I think it's going to be a fine line for a little while, and how we can figure out how to pivot from this, because everybody's so used to having those virtual meetings, and you know, you're using them at work now, you're using them for this, and it's so much easier, especially when we're all so busy working late and we have kids and etc. So I hate to say I don't have any good advice on that or ideas. Maybe some others have some what's worked for them, but I think it's something we're going to have to think on and try to figure out how we still engage those members to still be involved and step up for offices and committees and things like that.
Amy, this is Jane Seelig again. We had a problem in our chapter with low attendance, and then we hit on having workshops that were 3 hours long, so that we would serve a breakfast that was usually provided by we had them at a hospital setting in one of their meeting rooms, and then we would have 3 or 4 hours. We'd serve lunch. We'd have our chapter meeting right afterwards or during the lunchtime. And that way we kept people informed, and we started generating a lot more interest. And we were asking people who came repeatedly to, you know, oh, would you help us with this, or can you contribute that? And we found that just by acknowledging people and asking them, they were encouraged and started to become more participating more. And they are still continuing, even though we're doing the virtual meetings. We're having quite a few people staying after our workshops for our chapter meetings and our state meetings. So we are getting the word out to more people and trying to get them more informed. Mm-hmm. Now we'll see what happens after COVID, but that's what happened before. And our chapter had been struggling quite a bit before that.
Right. I think Denise has her hand up there.
Yes, our chapter in Florida, the Southwest chapter that's doing all the Zoom meetings besides Brevard for Florida, that we made a decision 3 years ago to stop our monthly meetings because we were having 5 to 10. And we went to 3 4-hour sessions 3 times a year. And it was still 12 CEUs, more than enough to keep you certified. And we went from 5 to 10 members to maybe 20. The next month was 40, and we moved them around our whole county. We got 5 counties in our chapter. So we would go north, middle, and south. And it just was amazing how many people that were met and said, hey, I got a speaker for you when you come back. And it was great teamwork doing it that way. And we still have teamwork getting some speakers to do our Zooms because we offer them to all AAMA members. And I've had North Carolina speakers speak for Florida. So it's been great. So those chapters that are struggling, you might want to break your meetings up and not do them monthly and do them, the second Saturday every 3 months. We try to avoid the summer because people are on vacation, so split them up, and it was a great turnaround. What will happen after COVID? What hospital is going to let us in and do meetings? We supplied breakfast. We didn't charge. If you were a non-member, we charged $5. And most of those people, after the first couple of meetings, they became members because they were CMA, AAMA. So then they didn't have to pay their $5.
That's a good idea. I like that idea. Thank you.
All right. Well, I thank everybody for coming tonight. Sorry for the technical difficulties some of you had trying to get in. I apologize for that. That's our bane of the virtual. I think still trying to figure out a lot of this out. So again, the plan is to send this recording and the slides out afterwards. So probably next week sometime, depending how soon that Marcom can get that out for us. AAMA, they're a little busy getting everything prepped for the conference. And I know they'll try to get this slid in so they can get this out as well. So you guys have that information. But I thank everybody, and I wish you all a good night and safe travels for those of you that can join us at conference, hopefully.